In the context of the Cold War, the theory of international relations influenced by Marxism was born. In this we have the theory of dependency. It is within the mode of a theory that is not revolutionary. It has political applicability. It influences foreign policies of many countries, but it is not a theory of overcoming capitalism. It is a theory to guide your action in capitalism, how capitalism works and how inequalities work within it. The theory of dependency is fundamentally a critique of the theory of classical liberalism. The way liberalism solved the problem of development was based on the idea of specialization of production. By liberalizing trade, you would allow countries to specialize in certain products because it was easier to specialize in what you produce fast than to produce everything you needed inefficiently. Therefore, you would specialize in what you produce fast and trade with others in global trade. The result for the world economy would be greater, and it would be better for everyone involved if each of the parties chose to specialize in certain products instead of producing everything they needed. Dependency theory seeks to show why, while this idea makes sense, it practically doesn't work. It introduces the concept of deteriorating terms of trade. The idea of classical liberalism does not work because different goods value differently over time in international trade. Goods that have high added value, made with skilled labor and technology implicit in their manufacture, have two characteristics from the point of view of how their prices change. They inflate a lot over time, and they are very stable in their valuation. Primary goods with low added value, little qualified work, and little technology included in their manufacture suffer more seasonality because they are vulnerable to change in climate, for example, and their prices fluctuate a lot. Also, their value increases much more slowly over time. Therefore, there's the idea that if you specialize in primary products, over time you will be more fragile because, for example, any storm can destroy your production. But also, even if none of this happens, your products will appreciate much less compared to other types of products. The point is that the specialization strategy does not increase their independence. It does not generate a global accumulation of prosperity. It increases the degree of dependence of countries that specialize in certain products. Hence the idea of dependency theory. By choosing this strategy of international specialization, you condemn your country to a position of greater dependence on the productive strategies of other countries. Here, what marks the power dynamics of the international system is this relationship between center and periphery, which is another fundamental concept of dependency theory. We have many authors of dependency theory, but we have two concepts that support the debate within that theory. First, we have the idea of the deterioration of the terms of trade, and second, the idea that the configuration of power in the international system is marked by an economic relationship between the center and the periphery of the system. Finally, we have another element that is a theory heavily influenced by dependency theory, which is the world system theory. Dependency theory influences international relations in the 70s debate, but the main concepts are coined in the 50s. In the 70s, we had a transformation related to the transnationalization of the production chain of certain transnational companies in central countries. What was the consequence of this transnationalization? These companies allowed the more peripheral countries with minimally qualified labor capacity to incorporate certain elements of the industry, where they reorganized the entire production value chain so that the industry was no longer responsible for the center of the added value of the making of the product. Intellectual capital remains concentrated in the central countries. This role of intellectual property in the redistribution of the global chain marks the scene of the 70s. For Wallenstein, as a result of this scenario, there was the creation of a new dynamic with the center and the periphery and the semi-periphery. Central countries allow peripheral countries to observe these industries without giving up the predominance of the hierarchical structure in the international system, in which whoever owns the intellectual property remains the center. Thus, even if the structure of the chain changes, the hierarchy of the chain does not change.